we are going to practice 3 problems, and the instructions for all 3 are given the following function, find the zeros and write the product of linear factors. And so here's our very first problem. H of x equals x to the 4th plus 7x to the 3rd plus 11x squared plus 7x plus 10. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write down the factors of 10. 1 times 10 and 2 times 5. Now I'm lucky because the leading coefficient is 1, so the factors of 1 are only 1. When I list all of the possible rational roots, this will always go in the numerator position. So plus or minus 1, 2, 5, and 10 over plus or minus 1. And we learned how to do this in Unit 5. So in Unit 5, we would list the possible rational roots as it could be 1 or negative 1, 2 or negative 2, 5 or negative 5, 10 or negative 10. Now, in the last unit, we said that all of our roots had to come from this list. But now we have moved into having imaginary solutions. So I will have a total of 4 solutions. Some of those may be repeated or duplicate answers, but not all of them necessarily will come from this list because some of them may be imaginary and have eyes. I'm going to use, and this is why it's to your advantage right now, if you are using the whiteboards, I'm going to test one right now using synthetic division, or as I call it, MAMA method. So I'm going to line it up right now. And on your test, I want to be able to see, I gave you plenty of room, I want to see all of the different rational roots that you are testing. So we have 1x to the 4th, 7x cubed, 11x squared, 7x, and 10. None of those terms were missing. And so I'm going to start by testing 1. Okay, here we go. Remember, I say MAMA method, and that's not a real math term. It's just an acronym that says after we drop down the first number, here's what we're going to do. We're going to multiply and add down. Multiply and add down. Multiply, and I can already see this is not working, right? That is not going to get me a final remainder of 0. So I know that 1 does not work, and it will never work as a solution, a root, or 0 to this polynomial. Okay, let's try the next one. Please go ahead and try negative 1 for me. So attempting negative 1 next. Dropping down, multiplying and adding down, multiplying and adding down, multiplying and adding down. And if you see me make a mistake, you please let me know. Multiplying and adding down. Do you get the same remainder that I did? Can somebody check with me? Okay? I'm crossing out negative 1. And I'm going to keep going until I find one that works. Can you help me, please, as I'm erasing this? Can all of the females in the room please test positive 2? Can all the males please test negative 2? And I'm going to ask you to be vocal. If you find one that works, whether it's 2 or negative 2, please let me know. Negative 2 works. Thank you, Brandon. So I'm going to test right now and see if Brandon's right. It's going to help me as moving forward in this problem. Multiplying and adding down. Multiplying and adding down. Multiplying and adding down. Multiplying and adding down. Thank you. So I'm going to come right up here because I'm supposed to list the zeros, the solutions, the roots. And I'm going to write down x equals negative 2. That is one of the 4. Please listen very closely to me. If negative 2 works, can it work again? It can, okay? I will never test 1 or negative 1. By the way, females that tested 2, did 2 work? 2 did not work. I will never test 2, but let's test negative 2 again. So I'm taking this portion, not the remainder. I'm taking this portion, 1, 5, 1, 5, and I'm going to test negative 2 again because I know I need to find 3 other solutions. So I'm dropping down, I'm multiplying and adding down, multiplying and adding down. Multiplying, that is not giving me a 0. Okay, so I've tested it once, it worked once, but it's not going to be a duplicate. Can I have all the females test 5, all the males test negative 5, please? Females test 5, males test negative 5. Let me know as soon as you find one that works. -5 is working. Thank you. I'm going to show now. Dropping down. I'm multiplying to get -5, adding down to get 0. Multiplying to get 0, adding down to 1, and multiplying. It works. Okay, so -5 is another solution, root 0, because I need to identify all of them. Now, when we end up with only 3 terms left, we have a few different options. So let me grab a marker here. This has no x, this has 1x, and this has 2 x's. I'm just going to set it equal to 0. We can attempt to factor here. I'll tell you factoring is not working. Then we can always use the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula will be on the board during the test. You can always use the quadratic formula. Now, I want to tell you a shortcut. Whenever the b term, this is the a, the b, and the c, whenever the b term is 0, what's 0 times any value? 0. So I'm going to write 1x squared plus 1 equals 0, and I'm going to solve here quickly. I have 1x squared on the left. I have -1 on the right. When I divide by 1, it doesn't change anything. I'm running out of space here. I have x squared on the left, and when I simplify on the right, I end up with a -1. Okay, here we go. I'm going to have 2 answers. So I have plus or minus, and hopefully at this point you know what is the square root of -1 equivalent to? I, or 1i. So here are my other 2 answers. I positive, so I positive and I negative. And if you want to put a 1 in front, that's fine. 1i and -1i. Here are my 4 zeros. 2 of them are real and 2 of them are imaginary. The next thing we need to do is write the product of a linear factor. So here we go. We are rewriting this as a product of linear factors. So I'm going to start with h of x equals. And then I'm going to go through and make 4 brackets because I have 4 solutions. X subtract will be in the front of each. Behind it will be a parenthesis. And now I'm going to drop in what I have. I have a -2, -5, an I, and a -I. Sometimes students will ask me if they need to use brackets or parentheses. It makes no difference, but we're just going to now clean this up. 2 negatives make a positive. 2 negatives make a positive. And 2 negatives make a positive. Another common thing I get asked is, does it matter if I put x plus 5 first or x minus I first? It doesn't matter as long as you have these 4 factors of these 4 parentheses.